very reason why we want to be in Japan is to be in different frame of mind. There we go. To be in different frame of mind, and therefore we can be aware of ourselves better. Once we are not in the same kind of water, we always be aware of ourselves better. And I'm starting with a very easy form of practice that you remember the first day we practiced, even in the very time when we was arrived. And we start to see a different culture where they maximize the sense of beauty. And at the very end of our trip, we're talking about how that mind is turned out to be very controlling. But the result bring out beauty, and meditation is part of it. And Zen, even it's very small, very small group of people in Japan, that they are profoundly affect the Japanese culture. And the concentration, the focusing practice, the practice of deep reflections, the practice of bringing everything into a focus instead of open up everything, is manifest into cultures and everything around us. But the point wasn't there. The point is this. In every time of our lives, we always embedded within certain kind of consciousness. When we were very young, we embedded in the consciousness like we call the instinctual embeddedness, where we act instinctually, but we don't know. We grow up a little bit more, and we start to see our instinct. We start to see all these very childish behavior. But then we are embedded within a certain kind of what we call the desires and the very deep yearning to do our own thing, to do our own personal thing. So another form of embeddedness came, and that's very much in the early age of our life. And we have many layers of embeddedness, but one of the very key embeddedness that we have, and that is the embeddedness of institution, or we call regulations. But we didn't see that very clearly because we embedded within it. But if you go here, you come to Japan, and you can see how the culture of embeddedness, of rule and regulation, is so deep in this place here, and you almost bump into it every day. For example, you put somebody put the umbrella on the floor. The driver would very angry pick it up and throw it away, wrong place. He is embedded in this consciousness of rule and regulation. He cannot see it. He get angry because you are stepping on his toes. You're stepping on his head. So he's embedded within that. You see how people get angry when we block their way? But to an American, if you're in American society, if that happens, maybe the guy just laugh at it. And maybe watch you. He would be very amused and curious. But here we go, we see a man who's very angry because you simply locked away. And you can see it happen everywhere. You can see it manifest into the construction of garden. Everything is rule and regulation. Every tree had to trim. Every rock had to be right height, right place. All thing is part of our consciousness manifesting. The consciousness of rules and regulation. And people are embedded within it. They found freedoms within that rules and regulation. They function very well and they love it because they're part of that rules and regulation. They don't see the difference. They don't see the world can function differently. But there we are. And now we bump head into that. Suddenly we are aware of that. There is rule and regulation. There is certain kind of consciousness that different from us. But that's what we want to really be aware of it. The reason why I'm talking about, because that is deep within the Vietnamese and Chinese and everyone's, which we call Asian culture. We take rules and regulation and we follow, we are obedient. We follow the rules, we're obedient to the law, obedient to our parents and our structure. We are also the culture of following the third chakra culture. But we're so embedded, we don't see it. But now we have an extreme case of that, and suddenly we see it. We see how people are embedded within it, within that rule and regulation, within that consciousness, within that embeddedness. So when we are embedded, we don't know, and we call it blind spot. Here we go, we have a very huge blind spot. It's a cultural blind spot. It's not a personal blind spot, but a cultural blind spot. It helps people to function well in that culture. They may not function well in the other culture, in other places. You can't do that, right? For example, you see all the students, they are so quiet, and even they walk on the ground, not inside the temple, but they are also very, very, very quiet. They don't laugh, they don't show any kind of like an American school kids. That we just think they are very happy, but these people are not happy. They follow the rules, but they don't say that they don't see that suffering either, because they function so well in that embeddedness. Okay, now let me.